Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I've just written an article called The Secret Life We Lead. It will be posted in the next few days on my new website, www.SIUU, Society to Investigate the Unknown and Unknowable, SIUU. If you want to read that article, it will be posted in the next few days. But in writing the article, I came across this incredible, very scientific article written by a guy called Otto Schwammer. He's written a thick book called Theory U. Don't try and get the book. It's very, very academic, and he is a very academic guy. And that's why I was fascinated by an article which he wrote, and it's a 4-part article. And in the one part, there's a heading called You Are Not Alone. And that really caught my attention. I'm going to read a little bit from it because it's quite a remarkable article. And he's a scientist, very academic, and yet this is what he wrote. He wrote under the section "You Are Not Alone." He talks about fourth person knowing. He says fourth person knowing is experienced as something looking at me that isn't me, a beingness that is not me, and yet does not manifest in our absence. He says fourth person knowing is experienced as a beingness that is not me, but that attends to me, and of which in a certain moment I can be very subtly aware. It can communicate with me, and if I attend to it, it has the capacity to pull me forward. Now, that's so interesting. He's talking about a fourth person, something else that communicates with me and can pull me forward. It can interest me so much that it pulls me forward. He says artists recognize this beingness, and he talks about singer-songwriter Bob Dylan. He quotes Bob Dylan over here in an interview with Bob Dylan. This person asked Bob Dylan, "Why do you still do it?" This is when he was much older, Bob Dylan. "Why are you still out there?" Dylan replied, "Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I made a bargain with it a long time ago, and I'm holding up my end." What is the nature of Dylan's bargain? It is not so much to craft songs, but rather to allow songs that want to be written to manifest through him. He describes this repeatedly in his career. He says, further on, Dylan says, "It is like a ghost. It is like a ghost is writing a song like that. It gives you the song, and it goes away. You don't know what it means, except the ghost picked me to write the song." The ghost picked me to write the song. Again, this reference to something outside. There's an entity outside, a ghost outside, that communicates with us. Now, I'm not that happy with that kind of image because it doesn't actually fit my experience. I could rewrite this whole story and not talk about a ghost or an entity, but talk about my soul, because keep in mind that my soul is an entity, as it were, which is different to what I call my contracted self or ego. So my contracted self or ego is in my face constantly, every day. I meet it. But there is a recognition that there's something deeper. I call that what I call deeper I call that my soul, not an outside entity. But I can understand that for some people, it may feel like an outside entity, like intuition. Where does intuition come from? Schwammer could say that it comes from this entity which hands information to me, but it's separate from me. No, I don't think so. It may be, the ego and soul, they're not two separate entities, not really. They are aspects of me, just that soul is my deeper part of me, and below the conscious surface, The ego uses thinking, so thinking is in my face, and I can almost feel like I'm in control of thinking. But soul is deeper. It has a deeper feel to me. So I often liken it to something, yeah, you see, I feel it, my soul. Yeah, thinking is up here. It's ego. It's in my face much more. But feeling is here. I feel. And when I'm writing, I often seem to be connected to something deeper, but I don't call it an entity that's outside me. I think it's part of who I am. It's below the surface. It's more, you could say, unconscious. It's the unconscious which connects to my conscious mind, but it's all part of consciousness itself. So consciousness has a visible presence at the top of the iceberg, as it were, and an invisible presence, deeper, that touches me, sends its perfume to me, gives me inspiration. But that's my deeper self, and I recognize that. So it's important to recognize these different aspects of who we are, and the names shouldn't confuse us too much. The word soul is even problematic to me. As the word ego is also a little bit problematic to me, because these are names of what? Functionalities. There's thinking, there's feeling, there's knowing, there's loving. These are all part of the flowering of who I am as a conscious being. And at the deepest level, I think there's consciousness, which has many different facets of exploration. So, and I'm aware of all that. So there's even awareness. So we need to recognize these different qualities that we have to dance with. And we need to be careful of allowing one of those qualities, like the thinking mind, to grab hold of everything that I am, and saying, this is who I am, I'm thinking, and I can stir up emotions. Thinking is very close to emotions. And there's imagination. So these are all the beautiful, beautiful qualities that we have. And the background of who I am can use these different qualities, but one must be careful of not allowing it to be captured by one of those beautiful qualities that I have, like thinking, emotions. We're not just a thinking, emotional being. And when we recognize that we have depth to us, and don't allow thinking and emotions to capture this fullness of who I am, then suddenly I become expansive. I become full and rich, and I can reach into something that is a little bit more joyful. So much pain around in the world today. So many people suffering and feeling depressed and unhappy. But just to recognize and begin to recognize the play of the fullness of who I am can begin to enrich us and take us into a depth that that thinking keeps removing us from. Thinking is superficial, linear. Depth is vertical. Follow the arrow of depth. Get beyond the thinking mind and the emotions into the feeling, knowing self, what I call home. Have a good day.